What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get into in the world of volleyball, such as Grand Canyon winning the MPSF tournament as they took down number 1 UCLA. Long Beach State also looked good in the Big West Conference tournament as they knocked off UC Irvine in the title match. Did the Anteaters get the at-large, or was that Hawaii? Also, Ohio State and Penn State won their respective conference tournaments, and Belmont, Abbey, and Fort Valley State also punched their ticket as well. I'll be talking about the NCAA tournament in full as well. Also, USC Beach Volleyball knocks off UCLA, as I got to attend that matchup. And we have a lot of high school volleyball to discuss as the CIF Southern Section Division I bracket has been released. The Surf League ended it out with a bang, with Corona Del Mar getting upset by Huntington Beach, Newport Harbor bouncing back against Edison, and we have some 3C 2A men's volleyball to discuss. So hand me a volleyball, set the net, because I'm about to serve you some volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday evening, Monday afternoon, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 243 of Set Point. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the link and platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow iSports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, even though that's probably going down the toilet, and Instagram at iSports Radio. We also have a Facebook page. All you just have to do is type in the word IE Sports and then radio, like us, and then that's how you're able to follow us on Facebook. And we have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our merchandise shop, our shows dedicated to each podcast, such as this one, Set Point. And we also have our Hall of Fame, and we have our community forum, and our Fans of the Month. And like I mentioned, this merchandise shop is just for you, just because the weather is changing rapidly. For the last 9 years, going on 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout to our sponsors. The first one is Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Plant Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate. It's low in sugar and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on, and all you have to do is visit plantjerky.net and place your order. In addition, prices are slashed for the time being, and if you buy an order's worth of $50 or more, you will get it shipped for free. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. And we also have our second sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations, and you're looking for that extra special touch. Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or friend, and you want to add their smile when they receive it. If that's the case, then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts is just for you. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. Follow them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps. And the way you can follow Set Point on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie, and then on Instagram at set_point IESR. And you can follow me, Teran Rodriguez, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Teran Rodriguez1. In addition, if you are listening on Spreaker, or you're listening on the playback on Spreaker, thank you very much. You will notice there's a support button. If you want to become a supporter of Set Point on IE Sports Radio, it costs $5 a month. This will get you access to past interviews not posted on Instagram and future episodes of Set Point Extra Points, which are interviews with volleyball coaches, players, and anyone involved in the sport of volleyball. If I can manage to basically get anything and everything uploaded. So, I guess I should also mention that this week I'm also going to be interviewing every coach. My goal is to interview every coach that made the NCAA men's volleyball tournament, or at least a player on the team, just because I want to grow NCAA men's volleyball and provide you, the listeners and supporters that have supported Set Point through all these years, with amazing content. So just a little shameless plug right there, but let's begin. Let's start with some NCAA men's volleyball action, as it was quite the week last week, and I honestly was thoroughly impressed with everything that happened in terms of the conference tournaments. Before we get on going with that, let's say hello to the live chat room. Adam Karnick is in there, and Jen B is also there. She says, have a great show, Teran. I know you'll kill it. Go Bucks. Thank you very much, Jen. She is obviously happy about Ohio State winning, but we're not going to talk about about that just yet. We're going to go down the line in terms of chronological order. So we'll start with the CIAC conference. I know everyone isn't too fond of the CIAC, and I've seen a lot of people moaning and groaning, saying, oh my god, that's 10, no, I don't care. CIAC is an automatic qualifier. Guess what? You have to deal with it. Anyway, so for the CIAC, Kentucky State advanced to the semifinals, and then we had Central State defeat Morehouse to advance to the semifinals. And then in the semifinals, Fort Valley State took down Kentucky State, and then Central State upset Edward Waters. Now, even if Edward Waters advanced to the CIAC Conference Championship match, it would not have made a massive difference, because Fort Valley State would have gotten the automatic qualifier regardless. But in the final of the CIAC Conference Tournament, we had Fort Valley State sweeping Central State 25-21, 25-17, and 25-15. Fort Valley State was led by Isaiah Fed, who had 13 kills. Shea Cooper added 10 kills. The Wildcats hit 253, while Central State only hit 127. And Central State was led by Tyrone Sands, who had 17 kills. He had over half of Central State's kills, but unfortunately it was not enough, as Fort Valley State wound up winning the whole shebang, and they made history as, first and foremost, they were the first team to clinch an automatic qualifier into the NCAA tournament. Second of all, they are now the first representative from the CIAC Conference in men's volleyball to represent in the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to the CIAC Conference. And as for me, I picked Edward Waters to advance to the CIAC finals, but unfortunately, Central State had other plans. So I only missed one pick, but I did get the Fort Valley State champion, Fort Valley State being the champion of the conference, correct. So there's that. Next up, we got the Conference of Carolinas. So this was kind of an interesting conference, and I picked Mount Olive to beat Barton, which they actually wound up winning in 5, so that was kind of wild and crazy. Then we had King upsetting Erskine. Now, I really wanted to pick King just because King was not having one of their better seasons, but here's the thing about King. They played some of their best volleyball in this conference tournament, and they did so. Unfortunately, King couldn't get the job done against North Greenville, as North Greenville advanced to the finals, and Belmont Abbey took down Mount Olive to advance to the conference finals. And then in the Conference Carolinas tournament championship match, we had Belmont Abbey taking down North Greenville in 4, 25-21, 25-20, 21-25, and 25-17. Belmont Abbey was led by Matthew Staskunas, who had 16 kills. Ryan Charles and Zach Puentes both had 9 kills. Belmont Abbey hit 237, while North Greenville hit 179. Mark Autry led the Crusaders with 17 kills. Diego Rosic added 13 kills, and Logan Keothavi added 11 kills. Some glaring stats that kind of popped out to me was that North Greenville actually outdug Belmont Abbey 46-38, but they also got outblocked 11-6. And then the serving battle was definitely won by Belmont Abbey as they out-aced them 7-3 and only missed 5 less serves. So, honestly, I actually had North Greenville winning the conference tournament, the Conference Carolinas tournament. But unfortunately, I got that pick wrong because I failed miserably. And Belmont Abbey is the one that's dancing. And I feel bad for picking against Derek Sullivan. He's an NVA guy. So, I got that pick wrong. And I'm sorry, Belmont Abbey. I didn't mean to foul up the pick, but it is what it is. So jumping over to the EIVA, so this tournament was rather fascinating as I got almost every pick wrong. So in the first round, we had Charleston upsetting Princeton. Now this I did not expect. Even though Charleston had some familiarity with Princeton, I did not expect Charleston to upset Princeton. And then Harvard took down NJIT. Both were 1 in 3 sets, mind you. So instead of Princeton and NJIT advancing to the semifinals of the EIVA tournament, it was Charleston and Harvard. And both those teams wound up losing to Penn State and George Mason, even though I had Princeton advancing to the conference tournament championship match. I only got the Penn State pick right over what was supposed to be NJIT, but I got Penn State advancing to the conference tournament championship. And then obviously my semifinal pick was null and void since Princeton lost in the first round. Then we had the championship match between Penn State and George Mason, and Penn State was able to win that. They lost the first set 26-24, dodged a couple of set points, but was unable to win that first set as the Patriots wound up winning it 26-24. Penn State kind of got it going after that. They won the second set 25-20. Third set, they jumped out to an early lead, but had a little turbulence, but was able to stave off George Mason by winning that third set 25-22. And then the fourth set, Penn State just jumped out to an early lead, never looked back, and they won off a walk-off service ace as they wound up winning set 4 25-16. The Nittany Lions were led by John Kerr, who had 19 kills. Toby Ezionu added 16 kills. Michael Valenzi added 8 kills. Penn State hit 282, while George Mason hit 256, which wasn't bad. The block battle was in favor of Penn State, barely though. The digs were in favor of Penn State. Here's what really won it for Penn State. They served so aggressively. They had 12 service aces. 5 came from Michael Schwobe, which might have set a record for number of service aces in the EIVA Conference Tournament Championship. Mihal Kowal added 4 service aces too. And George Mason only had 3 aces and missed 15 serves, while Penn State only missed 13 serves, as the Patriots were led by Jack Bowles, who had 20 kills. Omar Hoyos added 13 kills. Unfortunately for the Patriots, they just could not keep their season alive, but it is what it is. And I got the, despite me absolutely not doing well in that EIVA tournament bracket or making my picks through there, I picked Penn State to win it, and they were able to make it through. I really just stunk in that in terms of picking that one, in terms of picking that conference tournament. Now I jump to the MIVA. So as we left off in the semifinals. And the first semifinal saw Ohio State taking down Loyola Chicago in 4 sets. So that was kind of expected. Many will say that's an upset, but honestly, Ohio State has so much experience that it's not really an upset. And so does Loyola Chicago, but they're starting a bunch of freshmen. So all in all, I'm not ultimately surprised that Ohio State wound up beating Loyola. But this was an upset, though. Lindenwood upset Ball State in the semifinals. Keep in mind, Ball State was the home team because they were the top remaining seed of the MIVA tournament, and they wound up losing in 5 on their home court in Muncie. And then in the championship match, it was Lindenwood versus Ohio State, where the Buckeyes wound up winning the first set, or the match altogether in 4. They lost the first set 25-20, won the second set 25-17, and then won the third set 25-18. And despite a little bit of a battle in the early stages of set 4, they managed to pull away and win that 4th set 25-16, punching their ticket to the NCAA tournament yet again. as Ohio State was led by Jacob Pastor, who had 18 kills. He hit .394, which was pretty solid if you ask me. Shane Wetzel also added 13 kills. He hit .321. Kyle Toon had 9 kills. The Buckeyes hit .412, and that is big right there. Lindenwood hit .248, as Ian Schuler and A.J. Lewis both led the way with 14 kills each. The serves were pretty sloppy, but the blocking was so on point for Ohio State. They had 10.5 blocks compared to Lindenwood's 4. Ohio State outdug Lindenwood by 9, 35-26. So overall, it was what I expected. As even if Ball State had made it to the final, I think Ohio State would have taken them down, just because Ohio State has the familiarity of beating Ball State in Ball State. So you have that right there. And then we go to the MPSF. So I decided to save this one for starters, second to last. And this one, I actually got to attend the second day in the championship match. So as for the MPSF, the first opening round, I unfortunately couldn't make the opening round because I had a PA announce. But long story short, Grand Canyon took down Concordia Irvine in straight sets, 25-19, 27-25, and 25-22. The Lobes were led by Camden Gianni, who had 16 kills. Jarrett Anderson had 14 kills. Rico Wardlow, 9 kills. The Lobes hit .364. Concordia was led by Tyz Cornelissen, who had 10 kills. Christian Galapo had 9 kills. The Golden Eagles hit .268. That was that first matchup. Now this was a matchup I correctly predicted, and I will gladly flex my muscle when it came to this. USC upset BYU in 5 at Galen Center. You have to remember, USC was hosting the MPSF tournament. I said that they would beat BYU just because home court advantage. BYU didn't play any matches last week, and USC matched up really well against the Cougars. And what do you know? USC upset BYU in 5, as SC was the number 6 seed, while BYU was the number 3 seed. USC won the match 30-32, 29-27, 25-23, 18-25, and 15-12. USC was led by Jack Duker, who had 30 kills in one match, and he hit .407. Dylan Klein added 12 kills. Kyle Paulson had 10 kills. Riley Hain, 9 kills. USC as a team hit .343, even though BYU hit .353. BYU was led by Luke Benson, who had 25 kills. Mix Romanis added 19 kills. Capono Brown added 14 kills. But unfortunately for BYU, they just could not win on the road. But I am proud to say that I called that upset, and I basically said on Twitter, or X, if SC wins that matchup, I will go to the semifinal match. I will go to at least their semifinal match of the MPSF tournament. And I basically withheld that promise. I even promised Jeff Nygaard that outside of my interview with him on the set point extra points. And I am proud to call that upset. I thought at first it was going to be a bad idea, but it turned out it was $1 million idea. And then the last quarterfinal we had was Stanford defeating Pepperdine in straight sets 25-22, 25-17, and 25-19. The Cardinal were led by Will Anderson, who had 13 kills. Kevin Lamp and Teo Snooey both had 8 kills. Stanford hit .314 while holding Pepperdine to only 163, as Akin Wumi led the Waves with 15 kills. He had over half of Pepperdine's kills. Cole Kachansky had 6 kills. Like I said, Pepperdine only hit 163. So the semifinals of the MPSF were USC and UCLA and Grand Canyon Stanford, just like how I predicted. And the reason why SC faces UCLA is because they're the lowest remaining seed, and the lowest remaining seed faces the highest remaining seed. Had BYU taken down USC, then SC wouldn't have been in the equation, and then BYU would have faced Grand Canyon. But in the semifinal match between USC and UCLA, I attended this matchup, and after that tight first set, UCLA really got it going going forward, as They never trailed the rest of the way, and UCLA wound up winning the match 25-22, 25-16, and 25-21. Even when USC tried to make a push, UCLA just had the answer for them, as the Bruins were led by Cooper Robinson and Merrick McHenry, both having 10 kills. Grant Sloan and Ethan Champlin both had 9 kills. UCLA hit .403. They outblocked USC 10-4. They held USC without a service ace. The Bruins also had 7 aces, even though they missed 18 serves, as Jack Duker led USC with 11 kills. Dylan Klein added 6 kills. USC, like I mentioned, they only hit 165. And against the number 1 team in the nation, that's not going to get the job done. So it was a tough end for USC, but the future looks bright for them. I can guarantee you that. Then, in the other semifinal of the MPSF tournament, we had Grand Canyon knocking off Stanford 25-15, 24-26, 27-25, and 25-17. That third set is what killed Stanford. If Stanford takes that third set, they're up 2-1 on Grand Canyon, and Grand Canyon, which their only 5-set win was against Lewis of all teams, they would have been pretty much been in a position between a rock and a hard place. But Grand Canyon wound up winning, as the Lopes were led by Camden Gianni, who had 17 kills. Jarrett Anderson had 12 kills. Gianni also added 10 digs. Cooper Herndon had 11 digs. The Lopes hit 360 compared to Stanford's 283, as Stanford was led by Will Rotman, who had 20 kills. Teo Snooey added 11 kills. Looks like there was no Alex Rotman for this tournament, as unfortunately I did not consult John Costi regarding that, but it's unfortunate for Stanford, as they unfortunately have to say goodbye to Will Rotman, but he was a Stanford legend, as he, as well as the others that stayed with Stanford and did not transfer, they helped save Stanford men's volleyball. Jumping over back into the live chat room, we have Marcus Losgreat in the chat room. He said, GCU, GCU, GCU. Larry B. and Ralph Cleese also popped in greeting me. I appreciate y'all. All right, now for the championship match of the MPSF tournament. We had Grand Canyon taking on UCLA. Grand Canyon had never won an MPSF tournament, but this match kind of opened all of our eyes. So the first set, Grand Canyon took it 25-16. They served really tough. They just were serving bullets at UCLA. And that's something that everyone needs to realize. Grand Canyon is such a good serving team. They're a very good serving team. Second set, UCLA almost lost that set. They were actually up 24-22. Grand Canyon scores the next two, but unfortunately for the Lopes, UCLA scores the next two as the Bruins take that second set 26-24. Then the third set, Grand Canyon jumps out to an early lead. They never look back. More tough serving as the Lopes took that third set 25-17. Then the fourth set, UCLA led most of this set, but for UCLA, they're actually up 20, I think it was like 20-18 after the Lopes cut a 1-6 point lead down to 2. John Sproul has to call timeout, and then UCLA rattles off 4 straight points. The next point, it could have been 7 had the call been in. That ball, I think, was in, because I had a good angle at it, and unfortunately the officials ruled that the ball was out, even though it looked in my camera angle that it was in. But Grand Canyon missed their next serve as that went wide, as UCLA took the fourth set 25-19. But in the fifth set, Grand Canyon got off to a hot start. And this is something I kind of question. John Sproul used his first timeout of set 5 when Grand Canyon won the first 2 points. I get it. He tried to slow down the momentum from Grand Canyon, but I feel that's a little too early. And I'm not going to criticize him. I don't think that's a bad idea. Obviously, you want to slow down the momentum because in set 5, it's only to 15 points, but you must win by 2. And any wrong movement could basically can lead that momentum into GCU going to the finish line. So I kind of get John Sproul burning his timeout really early. He burned both his timeouts pretty early, as he burned them both before the side switch. Eventually, Grand Canyon took the fifth set 15-10 off a kill from Rico Wardlow, and GCU wound up winning its first ever MPSF tournament. As I will happily admit, they proved me wrong. I think they proved a lot of people wrong, because I'm pretty sure most people that aren't GCU fans picked UCLA to win this one, just because UCLA was just better. They had more heavy artillery, and GCU had struggled against top 5 opponents. Going into this match, GCU had no top 5 wins. All their matchups against top 5 teams were all losses to UC Irvine, to Hawaii, to UCLA twice. But this time, Grand Canyon was able to flip the script, and the third time was the charm, as the Lopes were led by Camden Gianni, who had 16 kills. Jared Anderson had 12 kills. Jackson Hickman, he had 9 kills. Nick Slight added 42 assists and 9 digs, as he was named the MPSF Tournament MVP. Grand Canyon narrowly outblocked UCLA 10.5 to 10. They also out-aced them 10 to 5, which is totally new. You never really see UCLA get out-aced, because they're the ones that serve tough. But Grand Canyon called their tough serving and raised it by tenfold, as Grand Canyon only missed 13 serves, while UCLA missed 23. Now, UCLA, they were led by Zach Rama, who had 14 kills. Zach Rama actually didn't start the match. He actually came off the bench, so Cooper Robinson, who I thought had a solid tournament, he actually was struggling a little bit as the match kind of progressed. I think it was in set 3 where John Spraw kind of took out Robinson and then replaced him with Zach Rama. And Zach Rama really put in the work. And that's the thing about UCLA that's scary about them. If one player is struggling, they have another player off the bench that is fresh and ready to go and that can contribute. Robinson actually did come back in set 5, but unfortunately he got blocked when GCU scored their 10th point. And that was so crucial just because it was their 10th point, and that could have easily cut the lead down, but unfortunately for Robinson, he got stuffed, which is tough times. As, like I said, Zach Rama led the way with 14 kills. Ethan Champlin and Cooper Robinson both had 11 kills. Merrick McHenry added 9 kills. I think McHenry would have been the tournament MVP had UCLA won that whole thing, because he was literally putting in the work when it came to offense and defense and serving. He is a literal stud. But Grand Canyon wound up winning the tournament, and Nick Slight, the setter, was named the tournament MVP. So jumping over to the Big West, a tournament that I wish I could have gone to, but unfortunately I didn't. So in the quarterfinals, we had CSUN, quote-unquote, upsetting UC San Diego, which I don't think that's an upset at all, just because CSUN had beaten UC San Diego twice. And then Hawaii took down UC Santa Barbara in 4 sets. It looked like the fourth set was going to go to Santa Barbara, but Hawaii made one final push in the red zone, quote-unquote. And Hawaii got the chance to take on UC Irvine in the semifinals. But first, Long Beach State and CSUN faced one another in the semifinals. Long Beach State was able to take down a scrappy CSUN team in 4 sets. And then in the other semifinal, okay, just as a disclaimer, if you all remember, Hawaii did not have Spiros Hakas, as he missed the final 12 matches, including that one. And in that first set, I will just say, UC Irvine wound up winning it 26-24. Unfortunately, I just could not stay awake for the rest of the whole shebang, as I had to go to sleep, and then when I woke up, I was thinking maybe it was a barn burner, maybe it was a 5-set thriller, but UC Irvine wound up sweeping Hawaii. Like I said, they won the first set 26-24. They won a monstrous second set 36-34, which is the most points scored in Big West Conference tournament history. The Rainbow Warriors had 9 set point opportunities. 9! Unfortunately, they just could not take advantage of it. And it's so heartbreaking for Hawaii, because they had their opportunities. If they won that second set, they might have had a shot. Because in the third set, Hawaii kind of got belted as they lost the third set 25. I think it was 25-15. And their season pretty much came to an end, but more on that later, as their fate of making the tournament was in the hands of the committee. But in the finals of the Big West Conference tournament, it was Long Beach State versus UC Irvine. And I also just gotta say, I admit I was wrong. I picked UC Irvine to lose against Hawaii, but unfortunately it was to no avail. Long Beach State wound up beating UC Irvine in the Big West Conference Tournament Championship 25-23, 21-25, 25-16, and 25-15. The Beach was led by Clark Godbold, the tournament MVP, who had 17 kills. Sotiris Chapanis added 15 kills. Skylar Varga added 11 kills. The Beach hit 355 compared to Irvine's 226. as Halir Heno led the Anteaters with 15 kills. Akil Tengatur added 9 kills. According to what I heard, he had 7 digs in the first set alone. Unfortunately, he just could not keep that consistency. But neither could UC Irvine altogether. So that was that in that match, of course. So that was that for all the conference tournaments. I know we're 30 minutes into this whole thing. But now let's go over the NCAA tournament bracket. So even though UCLA wound up losing the MPSF tournament championship, they wound up getting the one of 2 at-larges. As they actually got the number 1 seed, they will be taking on Fort Valley State in the opening round. It's the first matchup, and in the second matchup, we have the other team receiving the at-large bid, UC Irvine, as they'll take on Penn State in the second match. That's going to be right after the UCLA Fort Valley State match. I might as well just tell you the time. So UCLA Fort Valley State is going to start at 11 a.m. All these matches will be taking place at Walter Pyramid on the campus of Long Beach State. The next match, UC Irvine versus Penn State, will be at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, approximately. The third match will be Belmont Abbey and Long Beach State, as that was actually the final match that was revealed in the bracket. That will be a 5 p.m. Pacific time match. And then the last match of the quarterfinals will be Grand Canyon, Ohio State. That'll be a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time start. So if you're on the East Coast, for all you Ohio State fans, I feel fairly bad for you. But that's just how it is. I mean, the whole bracket is flawed, and I know everyone is saying Hawaii should have made it. And this is the part of the show where I'm going to give my flowers to Hawaii. Alright, so as we all know, at least most of us, Hawaii unfortunately did not have Spiros Hakas for the last 12 matches. Unfortunately, this is not like NCAA women's volleyball, where if you had your best player injured, they would acknowledge it, and that would take into consideration of the criteria of making the tournament. But unfortunately, UC Irvine had pretty much the advantage over Hawaii in every category, whether it was between RPI and KPI and strength of schedule and against teams against consideration. The two also split their season series. Now, from what Vinny Lopes said in the selection show, even though he and his co-host did not mention anything of the fact of Spiros Hakas being injured, had Hawaii beaten UC Irvine, and I quote, that would have made the selection committee's job a whole lot more difficult, because UC Irvine would have lost the season series against Hawaii 3-1, but do they still have the advantage in terms of like RPI and KPI? They would have lost the head-to-head. They still maybe would have had the advantage over teams in consideration for the NCAA tournament. So unfortunately for Hawaii, they unfortunately missed the tournament. They were the first one out, and I feel horrible for them. I think with Spiros Hakas, I think they might have made the NCAA tournament. I can go as far as to say that they would have definitely made the Big West Conference Tournament Championship match. Heck, they might have even beaten Long Beach State in Long Beach back all the way in March. But unfortunately for Hawaii fans and for everyone, don't get mad at Fort Valley State or Belmont Abbey being in the tournament. Get mad at the committee, because honestly, this is no knock on the committee. I get it. You can only have 8 teams. But let's be realistic. 8 teams is not enough. Soon, the bracket should be expanded to 12 teams, which means teams from the IVA and the NEC will get in, and then there'll probably be more at-larges for teams like Hawaii. BYU also missed the tournament. They probably were the second team out, and then Stanford might have been the third team out, and then Loyola Chicago might have been the fourth team out, if not Ball State was the fourth team out. But yeah, you have to kind of get mad at the committee for only having just 8 teams. Don't get mad at Fort Valley State, and don't say Fort Valley State doesn't deserve it, or Belmont Abbey doesn't deserve it. Those two come from automatic qualifiers. When the NEC and the IVA become automatic qualifiers, then everything will then the tournament will be expanded to 12 teams. It's far better than the 4 teams from all the way back in the 2010s. And it certainly is better than the 6 teams and the 7 teams that were pretty much just upgraded as well. Just because if there were no at-larges, UCLA would not be in the tournament. UC Irvine would not be in the tournament. So it's just food for thought there. It just means that the NCAA tournament needs to expand. I totally am in agreement with that. I also do have some knocks on the selection show. It wasn't like the NCAA Women's Volleyball Selection Show where it was just a full panel like Holly McPeak, Katie George, Courtney Lyle. It wasn't on ESPN. It was on NCAA.com. Vinny Lopes wasn't in the studio with his co-host Brendan Gulick, which, again, I'm not trying to be nitpicky at it, but honestly, NCAA men's volleyball deserves better. And someone did tell me that, and according to the AVCA, and I had to kind of correct them on it, they thought that Belmont Abbey was a first-time participant, but in reality, Belmont Abbey made the NCAA tournament in 2021. However, according to my good friend Tiff Wells, the play-by-play radio guy for Hawaii men's volleyball and Hawaii women's volleyball and pretty much all things Hawaii sports, apparently the NCAA didn't classify that as the opening round or the play-in to make the NCAA tournament. So I think that's rather baloney sausage. But in my opinion, I feel Belmont Abbey made the tournament back in 2021, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I will fight anyone that says that. Anyone otherwise. Anyway, so that's pretty much the NCAA tournament bracket. And yeah, we're now at the season where the tournament is basically, we're at the NCAA tournament. And yes, I will call it the NCAA tournament. I know it's called the National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Tournament, but guess what? I do not care. I will call it NCAA Men's Volleyball Tournament. You all can fight me on it. It deserves to be called that, not this whole National Collegiate whatever it is. Anyway, to the AVCA coaches poll. So, Long Beach State is the new number 1, as Vinny Lopes kind of said so on the selection show. UCLA was number 2. Grand Canyon moved up to they moved up to number 3. UC Irvine moved down to number 4. Hawaii State put at 5. Stanford moved up to 6. BYU moved down to 7. Penn State stayed at 8. Ohio State jumped all the way up to 9. Pepperdine moved down to 10. Ball State moved down to 11. Loyola of Chicago stayed put at 12. USC stayed put at 13. CSUN and George Mason both stayed put at 14 and 15. Lindenwood moved all the way up to 16, which was the highest rise of the week. Lewis moved down to 17. Princeton moved down to 18. McKendree moved down to 19. And UC San Diego stayed put at 20. So that's pretty much the last AVCA coaches poll of the regular season. So the NCAA tournament does not start this week, but starts in 1 week from tomorrow. So in 8 more days as of this recording. So there you have it right there, and I'm excited for this. I'm hoping to be in attendance for this tournament. It's looking like I will, knock on wood, but hopefully the NCAA doesn't think otherwise. So we'll see what happens, but that's going to do it for the NCAA men's volleyball portion of the show. We won't be circling the wagons back, and I'm just going to tell you all this. Y'all are going to have to wait till next week to hear my predictions for the NCAA tournament. Anyway, so that's that for the NCAA men's volleyball portion of the show. Let's jump to a little NCAA beach volleyball. So, on that same Thursday, I attended the USC-UCLA men's volleyball match. I actually arrived really early to the Galen Center, so I thought to myself, you know what, let's check out some NCAA beach volleyball. I am so glad I attended this matchup. I attended number 1 UCLA taking on number 2 USC. And speaking of those coaches' polls, I actually forgot to do the AVCA National Collegiate Beach Volleyball coaches poll. So, like I mentioned, UCLA, USC are 1 and 2. Stanford is 3. Cal Poly and Florida State both tied for 4th just because of the whole Center of Effort Challenge dealie. TCU is 6. Long Beach State 7. Cal 8. LMU 9. LSU 10. Hawaii 11. Washington 12. Arizona State 13. FIU 14. Georgia State 15. Stetson 16. Grand Canyon 17. Florida Atlantic 18. Arizona 19. And South Carolina 20. So now for the NCAA Beach Volleyball recap. So, like I mentioned, I went to the USC versus UCLA match. It was a fun match, but before that matchup happened, UCLA outlasted LMU 3-2, which I think was rather impressive. LMU did beat UCLA early in the season, but the Bruins had the answer for the Lions. But now for USC UCLA. So their courts were a little interesting. So they had I think it was the 4s on court 1, the 2s on court 2, and then the exhibition 1 on court 3, which did not count toward the duel altogether. But on the 2s and 4s flight, or the 2s and 4s match, USC wound up winning those in 3 sets, with both of those sets being 15-12. So already USC had a 2-0 lead. And UCLA actually took the first set from both of those, only to see USC win the next 2 sets. Then in the 1s, which was Delaney Maple and Megan Kraft taking on Megan Boyd, and I think it was Devin Newberry. I actually don't remember this too much, honestly, and I feel horrible for it. But Megan Kraft and Delaney Maple took the first set from the 1s court. The 3s court, UCLA took that first set, and then UCLA took the first set on the 5s court. So UCLA had their backs against the wall because you're facing Delaney Maple and Megan Kraft, who have been teammates since the high school days at Torrey Pines High School. So eventually, UCLA did manage to earn a point. They earned a point on the 5s court, which I think that was good for them. I'm glad they were able to scrap together a point. They wound up winning in straight sets, but on the 1s court, Megan Kraft ended the match on a walk-off block as they won the second set 21-19. It was tied 19-19 until the pair of Maple and Kraft both wound up winning the next 2 points, which I thought was rather impressive. And honestly, I will just say that was what clinched the duel for USC. And then they also won the 3s court in 3 sets as well, which I thought was pretty impressive. And yeah, Maggie Boyd and Lexi Denneberg. I'm sorry, I keep getting Lexi Denneberg and Devin Newberry mixed up, so that's my bad. But all in all, I was rather impressed with USC in terms of their pairs. Obviously, the 5s pair was not what anyone expected if you're a USC fan, but the first set, Regan Hope and Madeline Bonani took that first set from Mabin Thomas and Natalie Mizowski and Ensley Alden took that first set from Mabin Thomas and Ainsley Riddell, 21-16, and they wound up winning the second set 21-14. So altogether for UCLA, they pretty much dominated the 5s, but everything else, they were kind of out-muscled. And the sad thing is for UCLA is that they took the first sets from the 2s, 3s, and 4s, but sadly they could not win the next set, and they unfortunately got off to slow starts in the 3rd set, and it just kind of doomed them. But honestly, USC was celebrating their senior day, and I really wish I could have gotten an interview with one of the players. I actually did try to interview Olivia Bakos, but the sad thing happened is that storage space was full on my phone when it came to all my video clips and whatnot. This is what I get for freaking not emptying out my deleted photos and videos. So that was a fail on my part. So, but it would have been tough to get an interview with the players just because they needed to be cheering on their team. And Dane Blanton obviously was focusing when it came to the match, or the duel altogether. So all in all, yeah, I forgot to mention, USC had another duel against another opponent as they took on LMU, which they took down 3-2. But the upset between USC and UCLA wasn't the only thing that happened. Arizona actually took down Arizona State 3-2, which I think was a very impressive win by the Wildcats. That was on Thursday. So on Friday, we had Stanford defeating Grand Canyon 5-0, Cal defeating Washington 4-1, Stanford defeating Washington 5-0, which in one of the matches, not the duel, in one of the matches, The third set ended 39-37 as Kate Riley and Clara Stowell took that point for Stanford. It was such an amazing, epic point. I was just in awe. I was like, wow. That has to be like a record for number of points scored in a certain match, let alone a duel. But Stanford swept Washington 5-0, and then Cal defeated Grand Canyon 5-0. Then on Saturday, in terms of the ranked-on-ranked matchups, we had Washington defeating Grand Canyon 3-2. LSU defeated Georgia State. Well, actually, I didn't get the LSU-Georgia State match, but circling the wagons, but we'll jump back to that in a little bit. But Stanford defeated Cal 4-1, and then LMU defeated Arizona 5-0. And then for LSU and Georgia State, we had LSU defeating Georgia State 4-1. So there you have it right there in terms of the ranked-on-ranked matches. So this week, our conference tournament. So there's the CCSA Championship, there's the Big West Conference Championship, there's the Pac-12 Championship, which is the last time it's going to be that, because after that, the Pac-12 is going... And then the MPSF will be taking over beach volleyball when it comes to the teams like USC and UCLA and Stanford and Cal, etc., etc. And then there's the Big West Conference Tournament, which I might go to because it's at Long Beach City. But we'll see what happens, just because I might be doing interviews with coaches that day. And so on and so forth. There's the Conference USA tournament, and the list goes on in terms of like conference tournaments all around. So this week is basically conference tournament week, which means the NCAA tournament or the NCAA Beach Volleyball tournament or the National Collegiate Beach Volleyball tournament is getting closer by the day. And it's actually going to be the same week as the NCAA Men's Volleyball tournament, which I think is complete horse crap. I really just don't agree with the NCAA Beach Volleyball tournament and the NCAA Men's Volleyball tournament being on the same weekend. Why can't the Beach Volleyball tournament have its own week? Or why can't the Men's Volleyball tournament have its own week? Why does the NCAA have to give the shaft to both of those sports? Like, why can't they just be on separate weekends? Like, it's stupid if you ask me. I'm sorry, but NCAA has to do better with men's volleyball, and they certainly have to do better with beach volleyball. I know this isn't me being salty, it's just me telling the truth. Alright, but that is that for the NCAA Beach Volleyball portion of the show. Jumping to a little NAIA men's volleyball. So when it came down to that, the Golden State Athletic Conference tournament was just 4 teams. Masters College, which was the host of the tournament, no matter what, Vanguard, Ottawa of Arizona, and Menlo. So in the first semifinal of the GSAC tournament, the Masters College swept Menlo, which Menlo saw its season come to an end. So if you lose in the semifinals of the GSAC tournament, you're done. You're gone. Goodbye. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Anyway, but the Masters College advanced to the GSAC Tournament Championship, where Vanguard took down Ottawa in the other semifinal as they swept them. Now, here's the thing for Ottawa. Their loss is tough for a couple of reasons. One, they got swept by Vanguard just because the previous time they actually took down Vanguard. And then two, that's actually the last time their head coach, Kyle Steele, who is the head coach of the Florida Southern Exposure of the NVA, will be coaching at Ottawa, as he's taking the job at William Jessup. And I feel horrible for Ottawa of Arizona. I wish they could have given Kyle Steele one more championship run to the ring. But Kyle Steele had an amazing run with Ottawa, Arizona's men's volleyball team, and he will always be remembered, especially since Ottawa had such a high ranking. They were ranked 3rd at the time, and keep in mind, they beat the likes of Vanguard, who was the reigning NAIA champion and was number 2 in the NAIA. But in the GSAC tournament men's volleyball final, we had the Masters College, the host team, sweeping Vanguard, which was no real surprise. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, had to clear my throat there. But yeah, the Masters College sweeping Vanguard was absolutely no surprise. I feel that the Masters College is doing so much better. And I feel the Masters College didn't really deserve to lose in that match against Vanguard. Obviously, they played in a high school gym. Vanguard doesn't have their gymnasium constructed, which is unfortunate. I wish I could maybe donate money to help that construction go faster. But unfortunately, yeah, playing in a low ceiling like that when you're facing one of the better serving teams in the NAIA, that's a tough task to basically stand up to. But ever since that loss to Vanguard, the Masters College has been on a tear. They have not lost, including to Pepperdine. Remember, they reverse swept Pepperdine. The Masters College might be the team to beat in terms of the NAIA men's volleyball tournament. I'm not saying that to diminish Vanguard, but honestly, I feel the Masters College has so much firepower. And Patrick Paragas, the setter and the GSAC Player of the Year, and I imagine the tournament MVP, he was literally putting the team on his back. He has constructed the offense well. And the thing is, he's not 100%. He had ankle surgery back in, August, and he's still not 100%, but he has to be 100% if the Masters College is playing really well. So you have that right there, and honestly, that's kind of the whole synopsis of the GSAC tournament. It was obviously held in Santa Clara, where the Masters College plays. I'm certain Vanguard is going to make the NAIA tournament, and I feel Vanguard and the Masters College are on a collision course. Because Vanguard's season will most likely continue, and I imagine they'll maybe get the number 2 seed, because they've been pretty much top 3 the entire season. Same can be said for the Masters College, because they have wins over CSUN, NCAA Division I program, Pepperdine, top 10 in the National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Coaches Poll. And their only loss to an NAIA team was against Vanguard, which had basically lost to them 2 other times, and they lost to Ottawa of Arizona. So if there's any doubt that the Masters College is the number 1 seed of the NAIA tournament, speak now, or let the Masters College be the number 1 seed, the number 1 overall seed in the NAIA tournament. Alright, but that is going to do it for the NAIA portion of the show. I actually don't know when they're going to release the bracket. I imagine it's going to be sometime I imagine the tournament's going to be sometime this week or next week. Yeah, I need to basically get on my high horse and see what's happening with the NAIA, not just in the GSAC, but in the entirety of the NAIA. I promise you I'll be more on top of that. But anyway, that's that for the NAIA in terms of men's volleyball. So let's jump to some 3C2A men's volleyball action. And I just got to clarify, the last team that went undefeated and wound up winning the state championship was actually Long Beach City in 2006, when they took down LA Pierce in 5 sets at Irvine Valley College. And the other team to accomplish that feature was LA Pierce when they did it in 2021, where they went 18-0. So only 2 teams have went undefeated and wound up winning the state championship. LA Pierce and Long Beach City. Orange Coast College is actually 2 matches away from accomplishing that feat themselves, as they swept Santa Barbara City in their first round match, which honestly I was not surprised. I actually attended this match. I didn't think it was kind of worth covering, but I saw the match in most of its entirety. OCC actually struggled serving early on. They missed 15 serves altogether, but once they eked out that first set, that's when they pretty much started humming the rest of the way. I'll give credit to Santa Barbara City. They had nothing left to lose, and the fact that they challenged OCC in that first set, it really made me wonder. Maybe OCC isn't all that invincible, but they really stepped up. Miles Henderson stepped up. Cole Hauser stepped up. Cam Vakilian stepped up. It was mostly their pins that pretty much were carrying the load. This time it was their pins that were showing up and showing out, as opposed to the previous match, against their match against Golden West, where they wound up having the middles carry the load for the most part. But it is what it is. And then Long Beach City outlasted Santa Monica in 5 sets, as Angel Nikolov, the new coach of the Vikings, he wound up winning his first playoff match with Long Beach City, as Orange Coast and Long Beach City will be facing one another in the semifinals. And then in the 30 versus 6 match, we had San Diego Mesa sweeping Irvine Valley which I think was no surprise. I will say it was a little surprising. I knew San Diego Mesa would win, but I didn't think they would sweep just because Irvine Valley does have some studs on their team. But unfortunately, the Lasers just could not pull out the win on the road, as San Diego Mesa will be playing Golden West, as Golden West wound up winning its matchup against Moore Park in 4 sets. So they wound up winning the first 2 sets, lost the third set, and Golden West was actually down 23-20. Golden West eventually ties it up at 23 apiece, and eventually the Rustlers wind up winning the 4th set 29-27, and it was a huge win for the Rustlers as they earned their first playoff win since 2016 and their first under head coach Nick Amato, the former Long Beach State superstar, as Golden West and San Diego Mesa will be facing each other in the semifinals. So, alright, now it's time for me to pick the champions. So, for those that don't know, Orange Coast College is the host site of the semifinals and the national, or in the state championship. So, who do I want to pick between Orange Coast and Long Beach City? So, this is a rematch of last year's state championship match, or the last 2 state championship matches. Look, Orange Coast has been so great this year, but they haven't been without their flaws. If they serve like they did against Santa Barbara, I don't know if they can win this one. Now, Long Beach City is still a little bit young. They obviously have had their growing pains, especially under a new head coach. Their previous one obviously or stepped down to have some family, to spend more time with family. But here's the thing. Orange Coast is still playing at a high level, and I don't think they're going to miss 15 serves. And if they're missing 15 serves, I imagine how many they won't be missing regarding their next match. And they also had 6 service aces. But I think Orange Coast advances. I feel that this match won't be as easy as they think, because Long Beach is pretty darn good. And I think Long Beach, even though they don't really have a top 5 win, I think they still are going to bring their A game, because the Long Beach City Orange Coast men's volleyball rivalry is a very deep one. And then for Golden West versus San Diego Mesa, well, so here's something that y'all don't probably know, and I should probably acknowledge this. Golden West actually saw their middle blocker, Ezra Vlad, get hurt, and it looked like he had a knee injury, but he was able to pop back up and continue to play. So he's rehabbing. I feel he'll be ready by the time the semifinals rolls around. Here's the thing. If Curtis Harper has a big game for Golden West, I don't know if San Diego Mesa can stop him and the Rustlers. The first and only meeting between these two teams saw Golden West winning in 4 sets at San Diego Mesa. I really think that this one can go either way. I think either of these teams can win. I wouldn't be surprised if it went at least 4. Look, I don't want to be biased toward Nick Amato and Golden West, but I think the Rustlers get it done. Curtis Harper leads the state in kills per set with 4.43. Their offense is just humming, and the fact that they were down 23-20, and that one was looking like it was going to go 5, eventually wound up winning by Golden West, beating Moore Park. And Moore Park is a very scrappy team. The fact that Golden West is playing some of is still continuing to play its best volleyball is still probably the most impressive thing ever. And I really think that Golden West is getting to the state final. The last time they were in a state final was Nick Amato's senior year in high school, 2013, when he was a stud player for Elisa Nagel High School, for that matter. But I think Golden West makes the state championship. I think they knock off San Diego Mesa in probably at least 4. At the minimum 4, but don't be surprised if that one goes 5. All right, now for the state championship match between Orange Coast and Golden West. This will be a rivalry rekindled. I feel anything can happen because now Golden West is still playing its best volleyball. They have a lot of swagger to them. And here's the thing. Golden West is not the reigning champion, the reigning state champion. Orange Coast is. I should also mention that Orange Coast is making its 9th straight semifinals appearance, which dates back to 2014. You got to remember that there were no state playoffs in 2020 and 2021. But Orange Coast and Golden West are going to be throwing down, and it's going to be a barn burner. I would not be surprised if both of these teams basically had an instant thriller. And I've seen Golden West and Orange Coast playoff matches go the distance. And there was even one instance where Orange Coast got reverse swept by Golden West. But I really hate to be biased toward against Golden West, but I think Orange Coast wins the whole thing. Look, this isn't me thinking that Orange Coast is super invincible, because they have their flaws. They have times where they don't pass the ball well, they don't serve the ball well, they have their flaws. But if they eliminate those flaws and they have everyone ready and willing, if they get their middles involved like they did in the most recent matchup against Golden West, I don't think Golden West can stop them, because Jacob Charette and Andrew Robbins are playing some best volleyball in the middle for Orange Coast. Cam DeKillian is a beast on the right side. Cole Hauser and Miles Henderson are both killers on the left side, no pun intended. And the 6-2 offense is working well for Travis Turner, as Landon Seymour and Jace Fukushima are both running the offense well. Trent Daufner also comes off the bench, and the Pirates also rotate 2 liberos. So I feel seeing most of Orange Coast's matches, I feel they're probably built to win. Now, will this be easy for them? Absolutely not. They're facing Curtis Harper, who, like I said, he leads the state in kills with 4 kills per set with 4.43. He's obviously going to get his, as well as some of the other pin hitters. But I will just say, Golden West, even if they don't make it to the final, or they somehow lose in the final, regardless of what happens, the Rustlers are back on the map. Back when I was in junior college, in my early years of junior college, they wound up winning a state championship, which I thought was pretty incredible. And that 2013 year, when Nick Amato was a senior in high school, that was actually the year Golden West last wound up winning a state championship. So the Rustlers don't have all the pressure like Orange Coast does, because Orange Coast is still undefeated, and hopefully for their sake, they haven't played their worst volleyball, but for Golden West, they don't have as much pressure as Orange Coast does. So I feel Orange Coast will complete the impossible, which hasn't been done in over, we're in 2024, in over 18 years, but I feel it's not going to be as easy. So I got Orange Coast beating Golden West in the championship, but we'll see what happens with the Pirates and the Rustlers. All right, but that's going to do it for the 3C2A men's volleyball portion of the show. We're actually going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk a little high school boys volleyball, we'll talk some Pro Volleyball Federation, and we'll talk some NVA to close out the show. So you're listening to Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you, from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well, and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports, because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on The Defining Moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the second half of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows such as Sin City, Chi-Town Weekly, and much more. Also got to give a happy birthday to my teammate Adam Karnick, who just went live previously. Chi-Town Weekly goes live primarily 1 hour before Set Point does, if you're listening live. Just got to give that little plug right there. Let's jump on into some high school boys volleyball. So this past week of the high school boys volleyball season was insane. So remember when I talked about the Surf League and how crazy it was and how I covered that amazing barn burner of a match between Edison and Corona Del Mar? Well, the last day of league in that league was actually something to remember. So for those that were wondering why I didn't go to the MPSF Day 1 matches of the men's volleyball tournament, I actually had a PA announce Newport Harbor Edison, where Newport Harbor wound up winning in 4 sets, and that actually punched a ticket to them into the playoffs, but they were in regardless, into the CIF Southern Section playoffs for that matter. But afterward, I actually headed down to Corona Del Mar to see the Huntington Beach Corona Del Mar match, or the final bit of it, as this was a stunner. Huntington Beach beat Corona Del Mar on the road in 5 sets. It's been not too long of a minute that Huntington Beach beat Corona Del Mar, but it's been a while since Huntington Beach has beaten Corona Del Mar on the road. I know it's been like only 2 seasons, but the Oilers picking up that win was so huge, just because that actually will save them from probably dropping down the standings. But I think they would have been in the position in terms of their seeding regardless. But because Corona Del Mar lost and Newport Harbor won, the two actually share the Surf League title. So, oh God, if you're a Corona Del Mar fan, or if you're a Corona Del Mar boys volleyball, you have to be hurting, because unfortunately Newport Harbor got the job done. There were some other upsets there was actually another notable upset in terms of high school boys volleyball, and it actually came from the Trinity League, as Santa Margarita took down Mater Dei in 4 sets that same day. So, yeah, that was quite crazy right there, because Mater Dei was actually sitting at the 7th spot. Yeah, the 7th spot as of the most recent CIF coaches, the CIF coaches poll. And then that loss kind of really made people wonder if Mater Dei deserves to be in the Division I bracket. And the short answer to that is yes, because Mater Dei is the only team to beat Loyola of Los Angeles, which has the number 1 recruit in the nation, Sean Kelly. So, man, what a wacky and amazing day of high school boys volleyball. So many great results and final results and whatnot on the last day of league. So the CIF Southern Section boys volleyball playoff brackets were released, and I'm just going to limit it to Division 1 just because I don't want to bore y'all, because I know high school boys volleyball isn't everyone's cup of tea, but this is basically where the best teams from California reside, which is in my neck of the woods. So in case you don't know, Division 1 is basically pool play. So 8 teams are in the whole Division 1 shebang, and the teams with the best record in Pool A and Pool B advance to the CIF Southern Section Division 1 finals held at Cerritos College. So in Pool A, we have Loyola as the top seed, Newport Harbor the 2 seed, Huntington Beach the 3 seed, and Mater Dei the 4 seed. Or if you want to go in exact seeding, Loyola is the 1 seed overall in this bracket. Newport Harbor is the 4 seed, Huntington Beach is the 5 seed, and Mater Dei is the 8 seed. So that loss to Santa Margarita kind of knocked Mater Dei down a couple pegs. I feel Mater Dei would have been the 6, but unfortunately they have a loss to Edison, and Edison also beat Huntington Beach. So Mater Dei has kind of had their ups and downs, but the Monarchs are still... Mater Dei is probably the most underrated team, in my opinion. I think they're the team that could pull off a couple upsets, because most of the year they haven't been at full strength. Now they're at full strength. My only concern is Eli McGee going to be able to play this Wednesday against Newport Harbor and going forward? Because from what head coach and former set point guest Jake Nunneviller told me, his back flared up, which is not good. They need Eli McGee healthy. I know they have Tyler Robinson, who's also bound for USC, but honestly, Mater Dei needs all of their players, all hands on deck. And then for Newport Harbor, I will just say they need all the players themselves as well, because their USC-bound player, Jack Vonderay, didn't play against Edison. And this has kind of been a running theme for Newport Harbor. They haven't been at full strength as of late. They didn't have Riggs Guy in the loss to Huntington Beach and the Santa Barbara tournament. They had him against Edison, and he just went off. And then they didn't have Jack Vonderay, which I think makes a huge difference, especially since he's such a great right-side hitter. Now, my thing is, can Newport Harbor make their 6th straight finals appearance in Division 1? It's going to be a whole lot tougher, especially with the likes of Huntington Beach, who actually saw the return of Bennett Tchaikovsky, and he is one of 3 seniors on Huntington Beach. The other 2 are Aiden Dubno and Jake Pizzanti, the son of Craig Pizzanti. But Huntington Beach has such a young team. I still think they have a good shot at maybe winning at least one. Here's the thing. If you win at least one CIF Southern Section Division 1 playoff game, you're bound for state, because the CIF State or SoCal Regionals will take any team in Division 1 that finishes in the top 3 in pool play. If you finished last in pool play, your season deservingly deserves to come to an end. Nothing against that, though, but I see what the CIF Southern Section is trying to do. And then Loyola is just eating everybody for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They are without their flaws, though. They aren't without all their flaws, though, as Sean Kelly, he's so good, but he can't carry the team by himself. That's why Loyola has such a good supporting cast. And my thing is Loyola battle-tested? I know they've played the likes of Miracosta and Corona Del Mar and Mater Dei twice, but that league of theirs didn't do themselves a whole bunch of favors. It's not like the Surf League where it's a top 10 battle every single night. That could kind of be the thing that leaves the door open just a crack. And remember, Loyola wound up losing to Corona Del Mar in the semifinals at home. So while Loyola gets the home court advantage, y'all got to remember, their league was not so battle-tested. And I know they haven't lost a match in the best 3 out of 5 format, but I don't want to say that they're going to lose right away, but if they have that one bad match, it's going to be deep trouble for them. And then in Pool B, you have Miracosta as the 2 seed, or the number 1 seed in that pool. Corona del Mar as the 3 seed, the number 2 seed in that pool. Tesoro, which is the number 6 seed in the whole Division 1 bracket, and the 3 seed in that pool. And then Edison in the number 4 seed, and the number 4 seed in Pool B, and the number 7 seed overall in Division 1. So, looking at Edison, they have one of their best teams in quite a while, and I would not be surprised if they wound up beating one of the 3 teams. Now, the thing that's going to hamper them is no home court advantage, where they've actually had a bunch of success, let alone they've pushed teams to 5 sets. So they're going to have to be road warriors, and they're going to have to really play with a lot of fire in their hands and utilize that fire to the best of their ability, just because they have a lot of good players like Owen Banner, Ben Winokur, who's bound for Loyola Chicago, CJ Addison, Connor McNally, who's only a junior, Nate Jackson, who's only a junior, Johnny Braunstein, and then Noah Nelson. Like that, those 7 that I just mentioned, 5 of those players are seniors. This is a very senior-laden Edison team, and this is basically win-now mode for Edison. Then for Tesoro, look, Tesoro, they got second in their league, but they don't really have too many bad losses, as they definitely are deserving of Division 1, and that Mater Dei loss actually left the door open for them to jump up further, because Tesoro in the coaches poll was actually 9th, and then they jumped up 3 spots because of the Mater Dei loss, and because they actually own a win over Mater Dei in the Best of the West tournament. So I see why Tesoro is number 6, as opposed to them being borderline of not even making Division 1. And then Corona del Mar, here's the thing about Corona del Mar. I feel Sterling Foley can carry this team to victory, but he needs the supporting cast. I feel he can do so much with that team. He can set the ball well, he serves very tough, he blocks the ball well, he digs the ball well. He is a guy who will not let that ball drop for the life of him. He will sacrifice his body to keep that ball up in the air. And he can swing the ball really well. He's got a howitzer for an arm. USC should be grateful and thankful that they're getting him next year. But he needs the supporting cast on this year's team. They need Everett Welton to step up. Daniel Booker needs to step up in the middle. I know he's a freshman, but at this point of the season, it's playoff time. Reed McMullen, look, he's 6 feet and he's playing middle blocker. His primary position is outside hitter, but the fact that he has committed to playing in the middle for Corona del Mar is so amazing. That is a coachable player right there. Ryan Gant needs to also step up. He is a senior setter who's going to Stanford. The dude literally needs to step up. And I'm not going to really tell y'all what happened, but let's just say Corona del Mar had their chance of beating Huntington Beach last Wednesday, and unfortunately it kind of slipped through their fingers. Brady Gant also needs to step up. He's only a sophomore, but honestly, he has his good moments. He just needs to be consistent. And then Brogan Glenn, who's bound for UCLA, but only a junior, he's definitely been stepping up, and he's definitely matured into the role of the libero. So I think Corona del Mar definitely can make it far, but for me, it's all going to have to be giving Sterling Foley the support that he needs. And then lastly, we have Miracosta, who I think is definitely a good team, but my only thing is they have a loss to Corona del Mar. And while they do get the home court advantage, they're going to be sweating a lot of matches out, especially against the likes of Corona del Mar and Edison. Maybe Tesoro can definitely give them a run for their money, especially with Stanford-bound Kumana Carrera. But looking at Miracosta's team, they have a bunch of studs. Many thought that Miracosta was going to take a step back with Tread Rosenthal having cashed in his plane tickets and graduating early and heading off to Hawaii. But Victor Loyola has really stepped up for Miracosta, and Victor Loyola is bound for Long Beach State. So you have that right there. I'm going to look forward to seeing him. And Miracosta's done really well under new head coach Greg Snyder. He actually was an assistant for Avery Drost, former Set Point guest, and then he took over the following year as Avery decided to have his own projects and spend more time with family. So I feel Miracosta has a good shot at winning their first CIF Southern Section Championship since 2021, post-COVID year, but their path is certainly not easy. And I'm not going to make a prediction this week. Next week, for sure, I will make a prediction on who's going to win the CIF Southern Section Division 1 Championship. You might be surprised at who I pick, but you'll have to wait till next week. All right, but that is that for the high school boys volleyball scene in terms of the CIF Southern Section playoffs. Now let's jump to some Pro Volleyball Federation, and then we'll close out with some NVA news, and I'll send you all on your way. So I've been doing my best to try to watch the Pro Volleyball Federation, or at least watch some bits and pieces of it. Tuesday, we had the Atlanta Vibe taking down the Grand Rapids Rise on their home floor, Gas South Arena, in 4 sets, 23-25, 25-22, 25-22, and 25-15. Leah Edmond led the Vibe with 19 kills. Grace Cleveland added 11 kills. Magda Yelashrava had 9 kills and 6 blocks. And Marley Monserrat had 4 kills, 44 assists, and 20 digs. Claire Chaussee had 15 kills for the Rise. And Emilia Dimitrova had 12 kills and 2 blocks. Honestly, the Vibe winning is not ultimately surprising. But you know what isn't? But you know what is surprising? The Rise actually winning a set that was decided by 2 points. Pretty good if you ask me, but unfortunately the Rise took 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. But it is what it is. The Vibe are the best team in the league, and there's a reason why they've clinched a playoff spot. Wednesday, we had the Vegas Thrill sweeping the Columbus Fury 25-18, 25-23, and 25-18 at Lee's Family Forum. Kat Bell led the Thrill with 15 kills and 3 blocks. Lane Van Buskirk had 10 kills. She had 7-10, and she had 2 blocks. Hannah Maddox also added 12 kills. For the Fury, they were led by Kendall Kipp, who had 10 kills. Caitlin Horde added 8 kills and 2 blocks. You're about to see why this is not going to ultimately matter, but you're also going to see why I'm perplexed by this. So Thursday, we had the Grand Rapids Rise beating the Orlando Valkyries at Van Andel Arena 25-14, 17-25, 25-20, and 25-13. Emilia Dimitrova led the Rise with 19 kills. Claire Chaussee added 16 kills, and Maren Grote added 9 kills. The Valkyries were led by Skylar Fields, who had 11 kills. Kaz Brown added 7 kills. The takeaway for this matchup is this. The Rise needed this one just because they, as well as the Valkyries and the San Diego Mojo and the Columbus Fury and the Vegas Thrill, are basically fighting for those final 2 playoff spots. Only 4 teams can make the Pro Volleyball Federation playoffs, and we all know that the Vibe and the Supernovas are going to be the 1 and 2 in no particular order. 3 and 4 is still up for grabs, and any team can get hot or cold. Speaking of hot or cold, we had on Friday the Columbus Fury defeating the Atlanta Vibe. I'm not misreading that. The Columbus Fury beat the Atlanta Vibe, the best team in the Pro Volleyball Federation, 23-25, 25-20, 25-22, and 25-21. This was at Nationwide Arena, as the Fury were led by Kendall Kipp, who had 25 kills and 3 blocks, as well as 2 aces. Caitlin Horde added 11 kills, and Janasia Moore added 10 kills. Leah Edmond led the Vibe with 16 kills, and Shelly Fanning added 11 kills. I don't know what to say about the Fury. One night they're getting swept by one of the teams that are basically scrapping their way into the final playoff spot, and then the Fury are actually winning against the best team in the league. And Jen B told me best on X, formerly known as Twitter, the Columbus Fury are the most confusing team in the league. And I definitely agree. It's like, who is this Columbus Fury team? And they're actually pretty darn good with Kendall Kipp, because she was a beast at Stanford, and now she's going to unleash her beastliness all over the Pro Volleyball Federation. Yes, and Jen B right on cue in the chat room, the live chat room, she says, most confusing team ever. And then Saturday, we had this matchup. The Omaha Supernovas defeating the San Diego Mojo at CHI Health Center in a whopping 5 sets, 25-23, 21-25, 25-20, 23-25, and 15-12. The first set was all for the Mojo to lose. They were up 23-19, and then they allowed the Supernovas to score the last 6 points. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. No lead is safe with the Omaha Supernovas, especially at CHI Health Center. as Betty De La Cruz led Omaha with 20 kills. Jess Shaban added 16 kills. Paige Briggs, who came off the bench, she had 12 kills and 2 blocks. Christina Vuchkova had 10 kills and 6 blocks. Tammy Thomas Ailara led the Mojo with 24 kills. Nutsara Tomcom added 53 kills and 19 digs. By the way, I will also mention the Supernovas had 11,303 in attendance. That is probably the umpteenth time the Supernovas had 11,000 plus at the CHI Health Center. It just goes to show that volleyball in Nebraska hits way more different than Hawaii or volleyball anywhere. Not trying to disrespect like California or Hawaii or anywhere else, but volleyball in Nebraska hits way differently. Anyway, also on Saturday, we had the Grand Rapids Rise defeating the Vegas Thrill 25-23, 25-20, 23-25, and 25-23. Hey, look, the Rise are back to losing sets decided by 2 points. Coincidence? I think not. But they still won the match as Amelia Dimitrova led the way with 13 kills and 18 digs. Claire Chaussee added 13 kills and 11 digs. Morgan Fingal added 11 kills. And Ashley Evans added 51 assists and 12 digs. The Thrill were led by Kat Bell, who had 14 digs and 14 kills. Hannah Max added 11 kills, as well as Gabby Gonzalez. And Alicia Glass-Childress added 42 assists and 14 digs. And then on Sunday, to close off week number 13, we had the Atlanta Vibe defeating the Orlando Valkyries in 4 sets, which unfortunately, I really wanted to watch that one, but it was to no avail. It was actually on CBS Sports Network, and unfortunately, I deleted my CBS Sports app. Oops. Anyway, so the Vibe wound up winning the match 25-22, 25-20, 23-25, and 25-17. Almost as identical as the Rise and Thrill match. But for the stats, Anna Lazareva led the Rise with 27 kills. She had 5-10 and she had 3 blocks. Leah Edmond had 14 kills and 2 blocks. And Morgan Hentz had 22 digs. Shania Joseph had 15 kills and she had 470 for the Valkyries. So that was kind of expected from the Vibe, as they still have a firm vice grip over that top spot in the Pro Volleyball Federation. But Omaha's not too far back. The only thing is that Omaha hasn't played the same number of matches as Atlanta. The Grand Rapids Rise kind of now have a comfortable third-place lead over the San Diego Mojo, who are 3 matches behind them. As the Rise are 10-9, the Mojo are 7-9, the Vibe are 17-5, the Supernovas are 12-6, and then 5th place we have the Orlando Valkyries at 7-12, the Columbus Fury is 6-11, and the Vegas Thrill, which changed their logo, they are 6-13, bringing up the rear. Alright, looking at Week 14 of the Pro Volleyball Federation. That starts tomorrow when the Omaha Supernovas visit Viejas Arena to take on the San Diego Mojo. Alright, the playoffs are on the horizon, and the Mojo are in desperate need to basically make one final push to vice grip their spot in the playoffs. If you remember the last time the Mojo played the Supernovas at Viejas Arena, the Mojo wound up upsetting the Supernovas in 4 sets, which I think was pretty impressive. Do I think it happens now? That's going to depend on which Supernovas team plays. I think the Mojo can win, and they're playing such better volleyball. But here's the thing. The Supernovas, if you saw what they did, they're probably not going to take what they saw lightly, because they saw that they can't take the Mojo anywhere lightly. This isn't the Mojo from early in the season. This is the Mojo that has definitely improved their gameplay, and this is a team that could make the playoffs. But they have to get to the playoffs first in order to make a playoff push. I would pretty much say the Supernovas win that one. And then Friday we have a triple header, with one being on CBS Sports Network. So we have the Valkyries and the Fury facing one another. That basically has implications of finishing in the top 3 between those two teams. I feel the Fury can win. If Kendall Kipp can go off, the Valkyries are in so much trouble. But the Valkyries have just as much firepower as the Fury does with Kendall Kipp. So we'll see what happens. And then on CBS Sports Network, we have the Grand Rapids Rise visiting CHI Health Center to take on the Omaha Supernovas. I feel Omaha is going to win this one, but don't underestimate Grand Rapids. They're actually pretty okay, if you ask me. I don't think they're great. I think the Supernovas will win this one, especially since it's on a Friday, and that's kind of where the Supernovas' attendance really skyrockets. And then also on Friday, we have the Vegas Thrill heading down to Viejas Arena to take on the San Diego Mojo. All right, I feel the Mojo can win this one. I feel the Mojo are still playing some good volleyball. I know they lost to the Supernovas. I know they have a big week. I know they play the Supernovas 3 days prior, but I will say, I think the Mojo are playing such great volleyball, and I don't think anyone's going to be underestimating them. And I would not be surprised if the Mojo went 2-1, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they went 0-3 this week. Then on Sunday, also on CBS Sports Network, we have the Vegas Thrill heading down to the ATL to take on the Atlanta Vibe at Gas South Arena. I would be very surprised if the Vibe lost this one. If the Thrill win this one, I don't know what to say, because the Thrill are basically hampered with injuries, and they're facing the best team in the league, so I would really be surprised if the Vibe lost this one. Also on Sunday, we have the Grand Rapids Rise playing the Columbus Fury at Nationwide Arena. I feel the Fury... the Rise should probably win this one. I wouldn't be too surprised if the Fury wound up pulling another upset just because, as we all agreed, the Columbus Fury are the most confusing team in the Pro Volleyball Federation. And then next Monday to close off Week 14, we get a freaking Monday match at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. The Orlando Valkyries play the San Diego Mojo. Why does the Pro Volleyball Federation have to torment me? I have to be live next week at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. So I'm going to have to miss watching this matchup. But you'll probably get live blow-by-blows from me when it comes to this matchup and whatnot. So there you go. All right, but that is that for the Pro Volleyball Federation portion of the show. We only have, I want to say, 3 more weeks left because we have this week, we have the following week, which is Cinco de Mayo week, and then we have May 12th. So yeah, that's probably 3 weeks if my math is been done correctly. We have this week, next week, and then the following week. So yeah, that should be 3 weeks. If I'm wrong, then I will put a correction in the description. But yeah, that is 3 weeks because the last day of the regular season is on Sunday, May 12th. All right, but that's that for the Pro Volleyball Federation. Staying with Pro Volleyball, we have some NVA news because I, Teran Rodriguez, am your one-stop shop for all things NVA news. Unfortunately, this NVA news doesn't come bearing good thoughts, as this was released on, I think, last Wednesday, if not last Thursday, where the NVA's Instagram account posted this. So, this reads, and I quote, "Fans, after a successful 2023 campaign, we know there is yet to be much information regarding the league and the upcoming 2024 season. During the offseason, the NVA management team has been working hard discussing how to best grow the league and its overall structure. We are excited about the new direction of the league in the coming seasons. With that said, unfortunately, there will be no traditional weekend event season this year as we build towards a sustainable NVA. In other words, there's not going to be an NVA season this year. Nick England, the owner of the San Diego Mojo and pretty much the head honcho of the NVA season, or the NVA, he pretty much said it best in a video on the San Diego Mojo. The 2024 season is pretty much canceled, so that's the bad news. The good news is that regarding 2024, some of our top teams will compete in head-to-head matchups over the coming summer months. Please stay tuned to your favorite NVA teams as the upcoming matches will be announced so you can come out and support or follow online. We appreciate your continued support and understanding, and we hope you will continue to join us on this volleyball journey to make men's volleyball a formidable force on the professional sports scene." And yeah, unfortunately, yes, Larry B, unfortunately, that is crap. I was sad at first too, but at least we're getting some sort of NVA matches. And if it weren't for the NVA, I think my summer would be very, very long and tedious. And sad, if you ask me. Because the only thing I'd be looking forward to is probably counting down the days to the NCAA women's volleyball season, and counting down the days, also the VNL and the AVP as well. But honestly, the NBA season pretty much getting canceled is pretty much saddening. But again, there are going to be teams that are playing one another. The top teams like the San Diego Wild, they're for sure in. The Orange County Centers should be in. The Las Vegas Ramblers should be in. The Utah Stingers, from what I'm hearing, they could probably be in. And this is a rumor. This is not confirmed, but the first matches of the NVA, of the pretty much shortened NVA season, will be on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th on a Sunday, which I'll be in attendance for, but the location hasn't been finalized. And again, this is just a rumor, but there will be some NVA matches. It won't be like, it's not like there's not going to be a season. There's going to be some NVA matches, and I will be there to cover it. I don't know if there will be game stories. I don't think there will be live stream, but I'll be there to basically cover the match, whether it's me live posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, or basically me just posting highlights on Instagram. But I will do my hardest to try and grow the NVA to the best of my ability. And I'm glad they decided to have this whole little mini event on the Sunday, the day after the NCAA Men's Volleyball National Championship, because I even kind of recommended to them maybe move the event to next weekend after the NCAA Beach and Men's Volleyball Championship. But unfortunately, that weekend was the only weekend they can do it. But thankfully, they won't be intertwined with the national championship match, just because, yeah. So there you have it right there when it comes to the NVA. It's not the news that I want to hear. It's not the news that any NVA fan wants to hear. But hopefully, and I'm knocking on wood, that the NVA will be sustainable and stable. I think it'll still be good going forward. From what I was told, and this is not to be discussed on air, there were some things that happened with some of the owners, some personal things that happened. No, nobody got fired. No, nobody got deleted and whatnot. But there were some things that happened behind the scenes, and I just can't discuss it on air. But honestly, it's the small setback for the big comeback. That's what I'm going to try to say. And honestly, the NBA is here to stay. Nobody could say otherwise. You could fight me about it. But that's that for the NBA news. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. It is time to drop the beat, because I'm about to dip like a banana in chocolate. You feel me? Thank you everyone for tuning in to Set Point. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to the chat room, Larry B, Jen B, no relation. Adam Clark also popped in. We also had Patty Bax also tuning in. I really appreciate y'all. Be on the lookout for my interviews with the NCAA men's volleyball teams with their coaches and whatnot. Also, shout out to Marcus Losgate, who also tuned in, the GCU fan. I'll probably be back on the air with SoCal Supreme Sports Show on Sunday, but until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the volleyball action, and I will see you all sometime this weekend. Peace!